I'm gonna leave now. I'm tired of you rustling over there or something. Weird. But you come inside me.
Okay.
Thank you. Oops. Thank you. I'll call this special regional council meeting to order. Please be advised that tonight's meeting is available for the public to attend virtually and is being streamed and recorded. Can I get a motion, please, to adopt the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Councillor Dolan, seconded by Councillor Andrews. All those in favor? Carried. Carried. Tourism Advisory Committee, Bev Anderson.
Hello. Thanks
Hello.
for meeting with us tonight. And I'm happy to see Monique was able to join us as well. And of course, Todd is on the advisory committee as well as Krista. So they'll keep me in line when I stray, which I'm sure may happen with the way my day's gone. Jaylene, am I able to screen share? Everybody still hear me? Can Jay hear me?
Hi, it's Scott.
Doesn't seem like
We have experience. Yeah, you know, we spent Friday afternoon fooling with this thing, and it didn't bump out once. We got almost a minute in a row here. So
We're having some technical difficulties, but if you want to go ahead, Ms. Bev.
we can hear you
You can hear me, but you don't get to see the pretty graphics that we worked on.
unless the mayor can see them on an 11-inch iPad. That's you see the iPad,
Well, I
Mayor?
have to screen share, so
Bev, it looks like I can screen share here. So if you were wanting to shoot me in an email, I'll just send them to my Doctors of BC email address and I can share the screen if you want.
that might take me longer than council wants you to do. Yeah, it just says that the host has disabled screen sharing, so.
She's trying to get back in. Yeah, she's trying to get back in here.
Okay, perfect. So go ahead and get started. Although I don't think I'm going to follow exactly the way you have it on your agenda. I was hoping to actually start with. Now I don't know where I was going to start. Krista, where were we starting? Hang on, I'm going to pull it up.
Would you like me to screen share the last version I have?
Oh, so I was going to start with just a bit of a synopsis and of the past 2 years, kind of. So we did our strategic planning in December of 2019, and prior to that, we had really concentrated on doing some education pieces with the committee. Many of the committee were new to tourism, as well as to sort of the processes that had been happening. So we spent the first portion. Who's screen sharing now? Krista?
Yeah.
We spent the first portion kind of going over, the NRRM, some of the strategy plans, the role of Northern BC tourism, the role of Destination BC, and then we moved into a bit of strategic planning, which took place in December of 2019, and then COVID hit. So we actually ended up, part of the strategic plan came out, resulted in us having a number of subcommittees, including trails and marketing and assets. There's others that are escaping me right now. And then COVID hit, and we ended up canceling the first few meetings in March. So March, April were canceled, and then we got back into it towards the end of May. So things kind of got off to a little bit of a rocky start there. As a result, though, of some of the things that did happen, Trail Subcommittee did end up with an initiative that went through called the Flower Springs Boardwalk, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. And so that kind of sprung from conversations that they had. And we had 2 members go out on their own, obtain some funding. Then they got some support by the Rotary Club as well as Quest Helicopters. And I believe the funding came through the business or the license plate through BC Parks and the license plate fund. And so we have a beautiful brand new boardwalk put in over the marshy areas of Flower Spring. And then the other big one that I think really came out of discussions at the Tourism Advisory Committee level, and particularly that Trails Subcommittee, again, was a Trails Society. So we've had a number of our members bring this up, and it's been an interest point. So we've had a couple of public meetings now, and we will have a Northern Rockies Trails Society starting. We're just in the incorporation process. So I think that's actually, both of those things are pretty big wins for the committee, although we haven't maybe done as much on the actually coming in and requesting things of council or advising council on issues. And then finally, I just wanted to touch on, Krista brought up the strategic plan and the update process, and reviewed that an expression of interest had gone out. And so then we had 2 committees sit on the review of those expressions of interest. So that was great, and hopefully Krista found that feedback useful. Anything I'm missing? Would Todd or Monique like to add anything, or Krista? No? Okay.
Hold on, 1 second.
Wow. And so then just to move on to terms of reference with the committee, we in our last couple of meetings, we've had some discussions around terms of reference. As Mayor and Council will be aware, the committee is coming up to the end of the first 2-year term here in June, I believe. And so we will have to be going out and looking for new members and reestablishing. So we thought this was a really good opportunity for us to take a look at the terms of reference and look at what has worked and what hasn't worked over the past 2 years. So we have a few recommendations that we would hope to get even council's approval on tonight, because then we could take it back and further ratify with the new board as they come in. So these have been gone over by the current Tourism Advisory Committee, and these are the recommendations that have been made for the terms of reference. And among the first is recognition that when we first did this committee as a first round, we basically just said everybody that applies and is interested should be welcome. But where we were missing some geographical representation across the NRRM. And the committee feels that it's really important that we have that. So we want to ensure that there's some stronger wording on the appointment process required to make sure we get that cross-sectional representation. And I think, Krista, everybody has the terms of reference and the suggested changes in front of them, right?
Yes, it was attached to the agenda. There was a document that showed the old or the current terms of reference with a side-by-side with a new version with the changes that the Tourism Advisory Committee is suggesting in purple.
Perfect. Thank you. And so one of the things we're noticing, for instance, is we have ERS from Up Highway, but we don't have any other Up Highway representation. We don't have any in-town representation currently from the hoteliers or the hospitality sector. We don't have representation from the guides and outfitters, and all of these organizations or representatives bring a unique perspective and an important big picture perspective for the committee, because we may or may not be aware of either issues or opportunities that they're seeing or experiencing in their various sectors. So that's where that initiated from. And then we would expect as well that there would be a couple of community members at large on the committee, so that we also have room for that just community level representation for those people that are interested in tourism but maybe aren't connected officially in any way. So we think that's still an important perspective, but important that it not be the only perspective that we have at the committee level. Another suggestion came up that we allow members for there to be 2 terms, either a 2-year or a 3-year term, because that would then enable us to keep some continuity on the committee as we move forward, so that in the following year, at that 2-year mark, we would only lose half the committee members, and the remaining half would stay on for a 3rd-year term, and then that would cycle. Just mean a little bit more work potentially in terms of recruiting, but it would give us a little bit more continuity. The other conversation that came up was the chair and co-chair. So currently the co-chair are the representative from the Northern Rockies Regional Council and then an elected co-chair. We are thinking that would be changed to a chair and vice chair, both of which would be elected from the committee of the time. And that was in discussions, of course, with the committee as well as the chairs, that we just feel that would be a better representation of the group. Let me stop there. Does anybody have any questions? Todd, do you want to add anything? All quiet? Just keep talking. Meeting procedures. So in the original terms of reference, we had meetings set at 12 per year. We do need a little bit of flexibility with that, thinking summer and Christmas primarily. So wanted to have a minimum of 10 meetings per year. And if we have more, that's fine. That's not precluding that, but it just gives us a little bit of flexibility. And then the quorum requirement. So one of the things we discovered, and partially because of COVID, we struggled to meet quorum in a number of meetings. And the way the terms of reference were originally established, that meant we couldn't do any business, including even the adoption of minutes. So council may have noticed that you got a whole bunch of minutes in one session, or you're about to, and that you went months without seeing minutes. And that's because of that quorum requirement. What we would like to do is change that quorum requirement so that if we don't have quorum the following month, any business that was tabled can be dealt with by the members that are there regardless of quorum. Any new business would have to be postponed. However, old business could be dealt with. And that came about because of those reasons. And we kind of took it from the chamber, honestly, because it is in my bylaws as a way to make sure that we're not really falling far behind on business that has to be accomplished. Just keep going. So reporting, there was just some discussion around the wording of the reporting to regional council, and we want to make sure that annual reporting is still there, or if either the committee or council requests a special report, then of course that would happen as well, but just felt that this would be better wording to have us report annually. Okay, Krista? Oh, no, you went out of order. I'd fix that. Gonna have to scoot down to...
I'm wondering if we want to have any discussion on that at the council level before you move on from the terms of reference.
Yeah, you're going to see another terms of reference slide about 2 down.
Can you hear us okay this way?
I can, yep.
Okay, so we're having to kind of just improvise. So the mayor is going to have to speak loudly because it's our little webcam that's picking up the audio.
So I see in the document in front of us in purple is the new recommendations, but I don't see what the old wording was. Is there a place for the old wording for these so we can see what the changes are?
Krista? It should be on the one that I pulled up from the meeting. It's just on the left. I think one's on the left-hand side and one's on the right-hand side.
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah,
that's
so
what
they
it's
should
showing up
be,
on mine.
they should be almost identical on the left side and the right side of the page, and the right side just has the purple text, which is the new or revised text.
Okay, on my copy, I just have the revised edition. I don't have the old edition. So anyway, carry on. There's more edition than there is.
I have a question. Aaron. Am I good?
Councillor
No,
Kerr, go ahead.
thank you. Okay, so I'm just a little confused about the having both the chair and the co-chair or vice chair, whatever we are calling them, elected. So in essence, that could mean that this is a committee of council without council representation on it. Or am I not reading that correctly?
No.
Council representation would remain. It's just that not automatically as a chair.
Sorry, Todd, I can't hear you.
The idea would be is that there would still be council representation, just not necessarily the chair of the committee.
Okay, so should that be written in there somewhere that there always will be a council representative on the executive or on this committee? Like, I don't know if that's necessary, but I think if it's a committee from council, I think it should be clearly articulated that there always will be a member of council appointed.
I think that's.
I can maybe jump in. I believe, and because I'm screen sharing, I can't have the document up in front of me as well, but I believe in that same section, there is a line that says that the council representative would be appointed by regional council annually.
I can read that out loud, actually. It says, committee members shall be appointed by regional council for a 2 or 3 year term. A regional council representative will be designated by regional council on an annual basis. The chair and vice chair will be selected by the committee.
Okay,
The only
yeah, I got it.
change was how the chairs were chosen. It's still written the same.
Sorry, Todd?
I said the only thing that has changed is how the chair and co-chair would be chosen. That's all. It's still.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Anything else? And I don't know, I mean, that's, of course, it's not up to me to ask for this, or maybe it is, I don't know. If regional council is comfortable with those suggestions, we would love it if we could have that approved tonight. If not, we can bring it up to another council meeting.
Have a copy of the original. I suggest that we bring this up at the next council meeting, Ms. Vandersteen.
Okay, thank you very much. The only other thing I will mention that, you know, it's maybe a side benefit of COVID, because we have to always look at the silver lining that has come with this, because there's been so many on the other side, is that we did discover, tonight's technical difficulties aside, that the Zoom meetings have worked really well for the Tourism Advisory Committee, particularly for people like Ursup Highway. It has worked better than trying to hold a combination in person and have him on the screen in the bear pit kind of meeting. So that's kind of an aside, but I think technology in most cases has kind of come forward leaps and bounds because of Zoom, or because of COVID.
I agree. It's opened up quite a few doors for us, and you know, it does gain a lot of inclusion. And I believe Councillor Roper had mentioned to me that with this Zoom meeting and the new technology that we're becoming much more familiar with, there's no reason that somebody from Up Highway can't run for council and attend these council meetings virtually. May require some amendments to our procedure bylaws, but certainly it is something that was never possible before. So it increases the inclusivity of our council anyway. So.
Hang on, where are we on the agenda, Krista? Is that it for terms of reference? Did I miss anything? If you want to move to the next slide. Trigger me. Oh, budget request. So I did want to just speak briefly to this for council. You know, we're certainly not asking for any pre-approvals or anything like that. Just hoping that you will consider this at your upcoming budget meetings. One of the things that was pretty apparent, particularly with the group that we had, because a lot of them were community members. Sorry? Are we still good? Okay. Is that some didn't have a familiarity with the area. So having some budget consideration to be able to do a familiarization trip or to be able to hold an up highway meeting came across as something that people felt was really important. And then the ability as well to, you know, for that couple of times a year to have, if assuming that an IRS or somebody else up highway remains on the committee, having that ability to bring them down to have that in-person meeting, not always at their own expense. And so that's the reasons behind the request for the $5,000 budget. And, you know, happy to take any questions, but just hoping that you'll be able to consider that at your budget deliberations. Okay, I'm trying to pause at appropriate places to see if anybody's going to jump in, but please stop me.
You're good. She
can hear you now.
You can hear me now? Good.
Is it better?
The $5,000 that's requested for the Tourism Advisory Committee is coming up in the budget, Mrs. Vandersteen. So,
thank you. And then, see, I knew I wasn't going to need a whole hour here, but the other thing we just wanted to bring up for, I guess, to make council aware is some of the conversations that's been having at the Tourism Advisory Council level is around some of the potential road closures. And we know from in the past that we had Peterson Canyon decommissioned and kind of closed before we knew what was happening out there. And we want to make sure that we're not in that position again, that at least there's consultation and that we know what's happening out there. And we also recognize, and that's one of the reasons the Trail Society came to be, that it's going to be very difficult for us to probably get new trails or to, you know, be able to forge new paths and certainly roads. So important that we're looking at and keeping the ones we have and making sure they're designated and cared for. And two that are kind of top of mind right now are the Nonda Creek Tower Road and the Summit Peak Road. Both of these have decommissioned Northwest Tel towers on them and are Northwest Tel roads. So they're kind of just top of mind, and we have we've had a number of conversations, and I don't know if Doug's on tonight, but I know that the Northern Rockies has had staff have had a number of conversations with Flynn Rowe Forestry Lands Natural Resource Operations Ministry, as well, just to kind of keep that in the public view. And Toad River, I believe, also did a survey of their residents with overwhelming support to keep that road open. The Nonda Creek one's particularly interesting because it has a bridge providing access to Stone Mountain Safaris, and without that, they have no access to their property, as well as it provides one of the only, or maybe most unique, motorized accesses to the top of a mountain for people that have mobility restrictions. And so that accessibility piece, I think, is really important as well. So I don't know how much information Regional Council has received from staff at this point, but we did want to just take this opportunity to bring those kind of two roads to your attention, so that we make sure that, well, I guess we don't make sure, we request that council has staff keeping an eye on that or following through.
thank you for bringing that to our attention, Mrs. Vandersteen. Yes, roads and road access are very important in the Northern Rockies, and you're right that Peterson Canyon closure was sort of a slap in the face and created all sorts of problems. So appreciate that. Is there anything else you have for us tonight?
Can I chime in?
Yes, certainly. Councillor Andrews, go ahead.
Just so you know, Bev and tourism committees aware of it. We have had staff and council, well, myself, on with Chris Cooper for quarterly meetings with him and his team. And we are definitely keeping up and making sure communication lines are open, specifically with Summit and Nonda Creek. So we are definitely working on that one as well.
Yeah, so important, I think, for everybody in the region. And I think unless I missed something, and hopefully Todd or Monique or Krista will chime in if I did. Yeah.
Any other comments, councillors? Mr. Jacobs, any comments?
No, thank you. All good. Bev did a fine job representing us.
Thanks.
You did a great job, Bev, especially with all the interruptions you had while you were trying to get this ready this afternoon.
No worries.
It
All
was-
good. Perfect.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. And I guess I'll see you back at 6:30. Well, I'll see you, but you won't see me.
Very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to adjourn the special regional council meeting, please? Moved by Councillor Andrews. Seconded by
Councilor Roper was.
Councillor